Okay, I think I'm live now. All right. Hi, everybody. I am Angie McAllister, again, the admin of Psychic and Evidential Mediumship Practice Group here. And today I am going to talk about my story, my journey, my awakening, and what led me to where I am today, and how I found out that I was, in fact, a star seed that was upgrading and becoming who I am today. So I am going to start from, the beginning ish. Not too crazy in the beginning, but I'm going to start towards the beginning because let me tell you, as I was writing this down, so yes, you have to I'm writing stuff down to remember this whole entire story I have been going through. And wow, do you remember the things that come up in the telling of it? And so writing is such a powerful tool. But anyways, okay. So for me, I was born into a Christian family, a very strict Christian family. And I had a good childhood, I really did. I enjoyed my childhood. My father was a pastor of sorts. He was a youth pastor. He was a music, played in the worship team. And so we were raised pretty Christian. And I think a lot of us who are spiritual or star seeds, or even just going through this awakening, start out, are light workers. All light workers, I believe a lot of us start out in the Christian or religious realm, because what that actually does for us is it gets us really comfortable and connected to spirit in a way that, had we not grown up in the church, we would have not been in spirit or the energy of source. And so this is a really good way for a lot of us light workers to start our incarnation. And mine was no different. I was in a church. So in that church, I was so connected to spirit, to singing, but I could not wrap my head around the doctrine that was given during that time. I couldn't wrap my head around why the Bible was saying certain things when the energy was saying something totally different. There was just this dichotomy that was not working for me. But I stayed in it. And, I was on and off for many, many, many years. But also as a child, I had some crazy kind of things happen. So when I was a kid, I always felt different, obviously. A lot of us do. A lot of us light workers feel different. But I felt like I was denser than the rest. I was a small kid. But I felt like there was this heaviness to me. Like kids would run around and I couldn't run around. I was it felt like the ground had gravity that I could not quite understand. And so this went on for a long time until finally in my teens and my 20s, that started to let go. But because of that, I did end up, getting anemia and all of that. Whole different story. Also, while I was a child, I could remember, because of this dense feeling I was having, that I could imagine, or I kept wondering why we didn't have this little black box. I kept thinking, I remember having this little thin black square box that you were able to stand on, and it would take you wherever you needed to go in an instant. And I kept longing for this little black box, this thin black box that we could stand on, and it could take us wherever we wanted to go. But it wasn't here. And so I thought, God, I might be just being lazy. What is that black box? And the other thing that would happen when I was a child is in the moments when I was sitting with my entire family, we'd all be together, talking and being, one in the family. I would get really homesick. And I would ask my dad, like, I was confused. Why am I homesick when I'm with my entire family? And he would go, "Oh, honey, you're just really homesick for heaven." And I thought, even as a child, well, that's not it. Because heaven to me at that time as a child felt limiting. Like the thought of me being stuck in heaven for eternity, for eternity, praising and looking at the same people and doing the same thing, that was like not what I was longing for. So I couldn't understand this homesick feeling. I would later find out that these are kind of textbook things that starseeds do see when they are younger. So what did this do? I grew up and became incredibly anxious and depressed. I had obsessive compulsive disorder, very severely obsessive compulsive disorder. I, I struggled with drugs. I was married twice, and so at this time, right before September of 2020, which is of course during COVID, is when I believe a lot of us started feeling something in our body, that something's different, something's changing. I did too. And so in about July of 2020, I was working. I was a medical assistant. I had been a medical assistant for years. I was also in school to be a counselor, and I was ending that schooling. But what happened is in July of 2020, I started to get these migraines that I could not stay in work for. I started to feel like I had to go home. I was home. I was on leave for 21 days. It was 21 days that these migraines were so bad that I was literally bedridden for 21 days. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go out. Really couldn't do much of anything. Neurologists had no clue what was going on with me. And I didn't quite know the 21, how important that number was going to be later on. But what was really happening was I was getting my very first major shift or third eye upgrade. And so what I knew at that time was that when it was over after the 21 days, all I knew without a shadow of a doubt was that I needed to leave that marriage. I was with my second husband. It was my daughter's father, and I needed to get out. I needed to go find some happiness. I needed to go see what more there was out there. I just knew this, and the way that it was set up for me to leave was so beautiful. I mean, I can't even tell you. My ex-husband, he took out his own loan. He paid off all our bill. Like, this stuff doesn't happen to me. Like this kind of like transition doesn't happen to someone. It didn't happen to someone like me back then. So he paid off all the bills. He got me into my own car. I ended up getting an apartment for me and my daughter very easily. And then about 2 days after I got that apartment, they called me back and they said, "Oh, hey, we're running a deal. So you get the first month off and then you get the second month half off." And I'm like, fantastic. All right, I'll take that, of course. And so it was fantastic. It was awesome. So by September of 2020, I was in my own place. And I started to get attracted to crystals, as a lot of people do. And these crystals led me somehow to meditation. And so I started to meditate, first starting with my chakras and getting so excited when I could feel my own energy. And I realized that what I was feeling in church was a connection to my energy and to the connection to other energies. And something just landed inside of me. And I knew I needed to do more. So I started taking Reiki, and I went to advanced Reiki as advanced Reiki practitioner. And while I didn't become I didn't just do Reiki because there was so much more out there than just that energy. It did absolutely get me very comfortable with using the energy and very familiar again with how energy works. And so I caught on to that really fast. And at that same time, I started to listen to Raw. I don't know if any of you guys know Raw, the Law of One. And this whole Raw, the Law of One, ended up changing my belief in the concept of God. And I'm not saying that this material actually like changed my belief, but everything it was talking about, and it's dense material, but everything it was talking about really lit me up in a way that made me understand that that concept of God on the throne, that father figure that knows every hair on your head and knows everything you're going to do is a limiting belief, is more limited than its source. We are not the children of this man who is to be punished or given glory if we're great. I learned to understand that we are actually source, knowing thyself in this experience we're having as human. And so this changed for me quite literally. And so for about a year and a half, I did some really soul work. I did a lot of meditating, a lot of connecting to my spirit self, and I ended up able to release the obsessive compulsiveness I had inside of me. That anxiety, that depression started to alleviate all by itself. All the counseling I ever didn't do what this meditating and this connecting in did for me in such a very, very, very short time. So there I was, walking in my divine self, and I thought, hey, I'm going to call in this all-encompassing love. I want to know what that feels like. I want to know what some whirlwind kind of love is going to be. And so in February, I would say probably about mid-February, I did this, I don't know what you'll call it. It was on a full moon. It was a full moon meditation. And I had my crystals out. I had certain herbs out. It was in a pentagram motion because it is just earth, air, fire, water, and ether. It's not evil, but it is a balanced. So I ended up sitting in the middle and calling in this all-encompassing love. And then that was it. And so I went on with my life. And so about a week after that, I passed out for no reason. I had never passed out before. I got up and I ended up just passing out. And so from that moment on, something kind of like felt a little different, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So around March, I did what a lot of, I was like, okay, I'm going to just, I was encouraged to get onto Match.com. I didn't last long on Match.com, but there was this face that kept coming up and kept showing up. And every time I looked at that face, I was like, I want to know that face. So, so after only 30 days on Match and I was about to get off, I messaged him and I asked him out. I'm like, hey, do you want to go out? And so we met that night, and you guys, when this man walked in the room, I mean, he was beautiful. He's beautiful to me. I mean, so beautiful. His dimples, his face, his energy, everything about him. And I had been married twice before, and I had not felt this before, but I was like, there you are. And he sat down and we closed the night out. You guys, we were engaged 3 days later. We were married 2 months later. I mean, there was something so powerful about this man. His energy was so great. And at that time, I just barely understood what a twin flame was. I heard the saying twin flame, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I mean, that's nothing I'd ever find, but that's cool. That's neat. However, this energy was so powerful that I knew something was different. I mean, he affected me in such a profound, his voice still washes over my soul like nothing else. It's like this warm breeze. And so that 21 comes back because he was born on 4/21. I'm born on 9/21. Together, my birthday is 21/21. So it was very, very aligned, but so much more than that. I mean, once we were together for about a few months, and then we were able to take this entire year off. I don't know quite how we did it, but we did. Took this entire year off, and it was like us getting to know each other again in this lifetime. And through all the million conversations we have had, realized that, my God, we have mirrored each other our entire life. You know, situations we went through, beliefs we let go of, friends we had, places we were, it just kind of mirrored, but was a tiny bit different throughout our entire life. And here's this person, like I thought I was the oddball. I was always the oddball. I was always too much. I was always sensitive. I was always something. And here is this man who was so much like me, you know, that took me a long time to be like, are you real? You know, are you real? And so what a twin flame does, it's this very interesting thing that they act as this very big mirror for you. And I want to explain that mirror. So behaviors that I would have completely disregarded or even, would fight you on because it was right, because I was right, no matter what happened, those behaviors that you felt, you would see them in real time. So while I was doing this behavior that I'd always been doing, I saw this three-way mirror through my husband. I would see the behavior I was doing. I would see exactly how it was affecting this person that I loved so much, how it was affecting them. And I could also see at the same time where the behavior was coming from. And so when you are faced with that kind of reality, you have to change. You can't just, unless you're like, well, I like the way I am, which I didn't. I really saw, wow, my God, I talk very harsh. I am not listening. I am not giving other people validation for what they have gone through. I learned, there was probably a full year where, because this man is so much like me, and I was so unsure that this was, why is this guy so much like me when every other person I've ever seen I've had to protect myself against? And so for that year was a trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger. But guess what? It was healing after healing after healing after healing after healing. So for about a year, what would mostly take people often lifetimes to get through, because there was so much information. It was so much triggering. I ended up getting through in like a year, because constantly being faced with my own toxic behaviors, I had to fix and change. And so this was changing me and changing me and changing me. And while, you guys, it was euphoric, it was the most amazing experience I've ever went through. It's also the hardest, because I was faced with my own non-perfectness. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up doing all of that, releasing this outdated protection that I was holding for myself. And so that created change, because every interaction between me and my husband ended up being this reflection of me and what I was doing. So it was the same for him too. It's not one-sided. He was also being triggered, and he was also seeing his own way of doing things and how outdated that was. And so we were changing together. So during that time in 2023, when I took that year off for both of us, um, something else happened. So I had a second major shift or downloads. You will call this absolutely downloads because of what was happening. So I was that kid who could wake up in the next morning and tell you like 3 dreams I had had. I could tell you exactly the dreams I had, the entire storyline of it. I was so connected to your dreams. I mean, in fact, today I could tell you dreams that I had when I was in grade school. I could tell you many dreams that I had when I was in grade school. Just so connected to my dreams. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, those stories were gone. They were gone. I could no longer reach for them. What I was given instead was I was somewhere every single night. I was somewhere out in space and I could see energy. I could feel energy. I could see light. I could feel vibration. And so I would start the night in one energy field, one feeling one way. And by the time I woke up the next morning, I could feel my body had shifted. Didn't quite understand what was happening at this time. I honestly thought that because I was beginning to think about, okay, I want to run a business. I want to start doing something differently. I was thinking this is what that was. But it was so much more than that because this happened for about 8 to 9 months. And it was so exhausting to wake up and just have this energy dreams every single night. They were a lot. But what it did was give me this immersive understanding that of spirit. I mean, things that I had no way of knowing, things that I couldn't possibly, I didn't do a bunch of studying. I didn't do any of that. Yet it was just dropped into my awareness, all of this metaphysical information, this spiritual information. At the same time, because in September of 2020, when I did end up leaving my ex-husband and I started to meditate, I also was given very, very distinctly let go of the schooling. I was almost done, but I was let go of the schooling. It is not going to serve you. So I did. I let go of that schooling. So here I am just working. And so during this 1 year that we took off, I wasn't working. He wasn't working. So I was completely open. And what I was given was a business model. I was one of those people that would have told you, I don't want to run my own business. I just want to go to work. I want someone to tell me what to do. I want to go in, do my job, come home, not have to think of it anymore. Believe me, I was not that woman who wanted to run my own business. And yet, in this time when I was getting all these downloads, at the same time, I was getting this information in how to open this multifaceted business of spiritual guidance. And so I started to do that. Again, I want to say that I did not take classes for this. I didn't take anything. I listened. I listened to the guidance that was given. And you guys, clients started showing up. Clients started showing up almost immediately. And so what I was doing at that time was remembering how to lead others. I was helping others release their own outdated versions of themselves and reclaim their own energetic sovereignty by activating these healings. And this activation comes from this alchemy of language and spoken with this intentional frequency that I now understood and knew how to do. So at this time, you guys, I still had no idea where this information is coming. And I still kind of find that odd that I didn't go looking like, why do I have it? Where is this coming from? But I was just getting so much and I was so into creating this business that is what mattered. So I just kind of kept going with the flow and doing this business. So in 2024, in the very, very beginning of 2024, I took this free mediumship class, this short free mediumship class. And that again opened me up even further. And so from there, spirit, this guidance filled in all of this information of how to do mediumship and the psychic work also. And so not just, little things, but they were giving me vast information of all of these tools to deepen my own understanding of my own mediumship and psychic work. So then I became eager to teach other people all these deep, tangible tools on how to connect to spirit and how to get deeper in their own understanding of spirit. And so as well as I was doing that, I was also still channeling this soul aligned spiritual guidance and practice. And so I brought that also into the mediumship and psychic classes because that's so important, because these are just tools that allows us to speak to our innate spirit self. so that was in the beginning and then through 2024. So it was about, I would say I think it was around November or December of 2024 that I got my first understanding from who I was talking to. So I used to drink coffee. Good Lord, I used to drink so much coffee. But I was beginning to not be able to handle coffee anymore. Just my body wasn't accepting it anymore. But at this point, I was still drinking like half of one shot. So me and my husband, so at this time, for about 3 months before this thing I'm about to tell you, for about 3 months, I was getting this weird vertigo feeling. So like, when you look at your iPhone or your cell phone when it's off, and you're kind of looking at the screen and it's shiny, and that shininess was giving me this weird vertigo feeling. And I'm thinking like, what is happening? Am I going to have a seizure? What's going on? Why am I getting this vertigo that I've never gotten before? This was happening for like 3 to 5 months. So it was off. It was a little bit that I was getting this, and I just was kind of like concerned about it. But at the end of 2024, me and my husband went to go get a coffee. And again, as we drove up to the house, I looked at my phone and I got this weird vertigo feeling, and I was like, ugh, and I got out of the car. And just like that, I was no longer here. Just like that. You guys, just like that, I saw myself somewhere else. I was not here. I was not on the earth plane. I was actually on a ship. And on this ship, I had my hands down to my side. My color was a light, translucent almost, with a blue hue to it, but they were at my side. And I was on this ship, this spaceship of some sort. I didn't see what kind it was. I just saw myself as this first person. And what I was doing was looking at a screen that was faced to me, but I wasn't touching it. And I don't know if any of you have had Reiki, that feeling of the energy being pulled as they're working on you. That's what I felt. My heart chakra had energy being pulled from it. And I knew instantly that pulling of my energy from my heart was navigating the screen up in front of me. And so I was navigating the screen. It was a 2-second vision, and I was back by my car with my husband at my house. And I was like, baby, you are not going to believe what happened. So you guys, I'm a very grounded, intelligent woman. I can't deny what happened. I can't deny I was not in a dream. I was not abducted. I was not taken somewhere and shown something. It was me. It was my multi-dimensional self in another place. And so still at this moment, I wasn't sure. All I knew is that I was a first person starseed. I was not from here. And so I held on to this, and I didn't quite know what to do with it. I would tell certain people, but I just didn't really know, what do I do with this vision, this very clear vision I had. And so then starts the beginning of this year. So in the beginning of this year, I was doing my own thing, and all of a sudden, I hear Andromedan, and my body breaks out in goosebumps, like out of nowhere. It breaks out in goosebumps, and then I hear it again, Andromedan. Bam! My body breaks out in goosebumps, and I'm like, Andromedan again. I break out. I needed that first vision. I know now. I needed that first vision to believe the second piece of information, that it was Andromedan, that it was me on that ship, that it was a multi-dimensional self, me being shown this vast identity of myself that was not just connected to this earth plane. So once I started understanding all of that and hearing all of that, I knew that it was, my business was beginning to pick up. I knew that I was being told to leave my human job, my very human job. I was being told it was time to let that go. And so that took a while, right? Because it's hard to do that. It's even though I took that year off, it's really hard, even though the business is going very well, even though. But I did. And I ended up quitting. And that last piece of that old identity was all that took. And I went through a whole new upgrade. This would be my third. And what this third upgrade looks like was, my body, we all know the easiest way to get rid of old dense energy is through purging. And so my body had done that for weeks. And at the same time, I was feeling again very different, very different. And I was shifting and I was shifting and I was shifting. Now I am at a different place. And what I see with the people that I work with are actual energetic codes. I actually am now seeing light around people in energetic geometric shapes, and they show up around the body, what is being offered to be uploaded right now to release the old outdated identities that are no longer serving, but still playing a part because they're within your energy. And so when I see you now, I see this energetic code that wants to be downloaded. So I am told automatically when I am working, I'm told how to energetically stabilize this code within your field. And so you are able to absorb it in a way that's soft and in a way that is going to shift you quickly. And it is so powerful and so incredible that I am just so thankful to have that kind of ability now. And so what I do know is that I am here to help liberate us from these old identities, these old energies of having to work so hard to have that as our worthiness, that our worthiness is not attached to what output we can do, but it is attached to our authentic self. And so what I do know is that we discount miracles that happen to us all the time. We say, well, that was a really cool coincidence, or that was really cool that happened. Can you believe that happened? And then you just completely discount it. But miracles are happening to us every day. And there's an energetic world that is talking to you at all times if we choose to listen. It's all about how aware we actually want to be. And during this entire time that I went through all of it, my twin has been holding this space and this energy for me because my body's going through all this upgrading, and he is being affected differently, but he is such this grounding force for me, holding space for me so that I am able to go through all of this. So I am just so thankful. I'm so grateful to have all of this. I'm gonna that's pretty much my story, you guys. I really felt that I wanted to come out finally and tell you the entire, and within that story, you guys, within that, there are so many other little things that I just could not even begin to go on into. We went to Greece on our time off together, and I was hit with Athena wanting to worship. I mean, I just have had so many crazy, beautiful, awesome, energetic things that have happened to me since I have met my twin flame in 2022. So I am thankful that you guys are here still listening. Thank you for hearing my story. And please know that I am here working. Come find me. If this story resonates with any part of you, take that as a permission to look at who you really are here. If you feel that you are a starseed, if you feel that you are somebody that is different and you have this purpose that you know you have, but you just can't figure it out, find me, because I will help you figure that out and get you on that path. If you are a spiritual seeker, find me, because I will help align you in the fastest way to get you on the road to find your authentic self. Thank you, you guys. Again, I'm Angie McAllister, admin of Psychic and Evidential Mediumship Practice Group, and I can't wait to see you guys in the group. Have a good day.